NFL games was definitely all over the place. We got to see a lot of games that I think were unexpected finishes, a lot of upsets, a lot of big performances, some of the best catches I've seen of the year. So let's go through and recap them. Let's start with the Thanksgiving games. So the Green Bay Packers went into Detroit. Jordan Love, who would have thought Toyotathon starts? Jordan Love starts playing well. 18 of 30, 234 yards, 4 touchdowns on the day. I do want to give a shout out though to the run game for the Green Bay Packers. I thought the Detroit Lions would be able to win the upfront matchup in this and stop the run, but really 125 yards rushing. It kept the feet moving, kept them going. Shout out to the card pack for winning the $10 off group break spot credit. Dontavian Wicks, 2 touchdown game. Christian Watson had that great touchdown up the right sideline. Really, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff we saw from the Green Bay Packers offense. Now, obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown was the story of this game. Went down with an ankle injury, but really right when the game started. Upsetting to see a guy like Amon-Ra go down with injury, but a guy who stepped up really, really well in his place, Jameson Williams. 7 catches, 144 yards, and a touchdown. Say for the next 2 weeks going into our fantasy playoffs, if Amon-Ra does miss time against Dallas this week, Jameson Williams to me is a undisputed wide receiver 1 start in fantasy. He is going to get majority of the targets with no Amon-Ra out there. I know Tom Kennedy kind of came in as that slot receiver, and obviously Isaac Tesla caught the touchdown. But I would see Jameson Williams being the focal point of the passing offense, obviously with no Sam Laporta and now no Amon-Ra. But expect Jahmyr Gibbs to get that heavy workload. He had 20 carries, no touchdowns. Was very, very impressed with the Green Bay run defense specifically in this game. It's funny because, disagree. Go ahead, Eric. Please tell me why you disagree. I was very impressed, though, with the Green Bay Packers run offense, and what I was most upset about was Dan Campbell's 4th down play calling in this game. This is now multiple weeks in a row now that we've had to talk about Dan Campbell's play calling, and J-Mo's fine, but I can't lie, Eric, I would expect wide receiver 1 numbers. I think he's going to get upwards of 8 to 10 targets, and I think he's explosive after the run. I think they're going to find him on screens over the middle, especially against that Dallas Cowboys defense. That's true. I think they're going to move J-Mo around, though. I do think J-Mo's going to be moved around. I don't think he's just going to be outside or just going to be slot. I think he's going to be moved around more than we think. Because especially coming off of a home loss in this division where now the Lions are 3rd in the division, down 2 games to the Chicago Bears and down obviously 2 games to the Green Bay Packers as well. I think that Detroit's going to need to figure out something in this offense that works. Obviously, they've dealt with a lot of injuries. True, but I think that's why the Lions are the way they are. And when Dan Campbell took over play calling, it felt like their players are very role-based. So yeah, but I was very impressed with what I saw from Jameson Williams. Shout out to him for that broken tackle he had on the screen pass to get into the end zone. That was a great play, but overall, the biggest shout out of this game has to go to Jordan Love, who I thought played a really, really good game. He threw some great deep balls overall, and it brought the Packers to a big on-the-road win to start off Thanksgiving. In a game I honestly did not expect to go this way. When the Chiefs came out and threw that Rashee Rice touchdown to start the game, I really thought the Chiefs were going to run away with this one. Cowboys came right back and responded with CeeDee Lamb touchdown, who had a great game, 7 for 112 and a touchdown. Even with that, by the way, Pickens, 6 for 88. Both of them can be productive, as this is probably the best wide receiver room in football. But really what it came down to is later in the game, the second and third quarter, Chiefs could not get a ground game going at all. I know it's going to say Mahomes had a couple rushes. Pacheco only had 3 carries. Kareem Hunt really took over the RB1 activities. I was saying this is a Chiefs team that should have traded for a running back at the deadline. And I think we're seeing why they should have right now. Chiefs running offense did not look good. The Dallas Cowboys run defense looked really good, which is the first time we've really been able to say that all season long. Whether it's Quentin Williams, Logan Wilson, interesting. I don't know, Eric. But yes, 8 for 92 and 2 touchdowns for Rashee Rice. Fantasy managers love it. That Travis Kelce touchdown on 4th down, 4th and goal was a beautiful touchdown. I was surprised to see he caught it, honestly, but it is Travis Kelce. It's just very rare to see a game that Patrick Mahomes has 250 plus yards, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, and they lose. Because really the Dallas Cowboys just found a way at the end to pull this game out. Shout out, by the way, to Malik Davis, who came in and ran that 43-yard touchdown right up the middle. That was very surprising. I did not see a rush. I did not see that coming. Javonte Williams had that nice goal line receiving touchdown. I did not get to, unfortunately, catch too much of this game as I was on a plane, but shout out to the Cowboys for pulling this one out. If you have any comments that you want to remind me of, please leave it in the chat. The Cincinnati Bengals went into Baltimore. Huge shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals defense. This was by far, in my opinion, the best this defense has looked all season long. Not only did they make Lamar Jackson really look panicked in the backfield, they didn't allow him to get out of the pocket. Only 6 rushes for 27 yards for Lamar Jackson. He has not looked as much of a threat on his legs as he has in previous years, this season specifically, and he barely completed half of his throws. He only had a 22.2 Q quarterback rating. Isaiah Likely had a lot of catches. Mark Andrews had a lot of catches. But, man, Zay Flowers was not getting involved. They could not get him the ball down the field. They really did not have any deep threat ability down the field. They had the long pass to Likely. They had that one pass to Derrick Henry that went long. But outside of that, it was a really stagnant day for the Baltimore Ravens offense. And I thought the Bengals just game managed this game throughout the second and third quarter. That offense looked good. Joe Burrow got back in his rhythm. I saw this one clip of this guy who does analytics, specifically watches like specific plays and does it. Man, Joe Burrow saw a front 7 blitz and absolutely moved a tight end over to block a guy. He moved Samaje Perine over to block a guy. It's like Joe Burrow did not miss a beat. Jamar Chase 7 for 110. Yosivas catching that touchdown. That was a great touchdown pass and throw, by the way, to Yosivas. The run game looks really good. Look at that, like Samaje Perine, Chase Brown, 33 rushing attempts, 128 yards. But the biggest thing really was the fumbling and the defensive impact that we saw of the Cincinnati Bengals. 4 total fumbles lost for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson had 2 of them. Likely had 1. Zay Flowers had the other one. When you can't hold on to the ball, it gave Cincinnati good field position. And that guy Evan McPherson, 6 for 6, absolutely automatic on the day. He really cooked. I was very impressed with the field goals. They kept getting down there. They kept getting good field position. Now, I will say that the offense didn't look perfect of the Bengals, but if it's not perfect and you're still throwing 2 touchdowns and not committing any turnovers, other than, Samaje Perine, that one fumble, not bad. Bengals do have a tough schedule to end the season. They get to see the Bills, the Ravens. I guess after that, Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns to end the year. So they really believe that if they get 9-8 with Joe Burrow, they could be a sneaky wild card team. I think it's going to take 10 wins to get into that AFC wild card, but I see why the Bengals are keeping Joe Burrow out there. He is, a top 4 quarterback in football, a top probably 2 when healthy, in my opinion. Shout out to the Bengals for going into Baltimore, the defense causing penalties all day long and shutting down Lamar Jackson. The Chicago Bears went into Philly. Philly really, really struggled offensively in this game. There's absolutely no way. When I was I was looking at the stats halfway through this game. I actually streamed during this game, and I saw that the Bears were nearly tripling the plays of the Philadelphia Eagles during just the second quarter of this game. 47 rushing attempts, which is 30 more than the Eagles had, and Caleb Williams also threw 2 more passes than Jalen Hurts threw. It was incredible. I got to give a huge shout out to Ben Johnson. Some of these run plays that I'm seeing, I could get 10 yards on some of these run plays that I'm seeing. Kyle Monangai, it was funny, DeAndre Swift, I think, started this game with like 90 yards and a touchdown right off the bat. Like in the first 2 drives, he had 90 yards and a touchdown, and I thought it was going to be a Swift game. Then in the whole second half, it was Kyle Monangai and game managing, which he had 22 yards, 130 yards, and a touchdown. Both the running backs played good, and that shows you when it's a 7th-round running back, and it's DeAndre Swift who struggled to find a home throughout his career. The coaching, the run schemes, the offensive line being the best offensive line in football statistically this year has been the Chicago Bears, which is funny because last year, Caleb was the most sacked quarterback in football. Joe Tooney came in. They made a good couple draft picks. They make a good couple draft picks, and look at that. Caleb becomes a game-managing quarterback. They allow the run game to dominate. 40 combined rushes for 255 yards between Monangai and Swift and 2 touchdowns. Was so impressed. As for the Eagles, where's your run game, man? We're now going on a couple weeks now where Saquon Barkley cannot get over 5 yards per carry. He had 13 carries, 56 yards. Great game for A.J. Brown. I got to give him credit. 10 catches, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Very nice plays to get into the end zone. Both of them coming in the second half. Unfortunately, I had to play A.J. Brown in fantasy, so I wasn't too happy. But Saquon, man, 13 carries, 56 yards. This running offensive line has not been what it used to be. Seeing them get outran by nearly 200 yards by the Chicago Bears is not how the Philadelphia Eagles should be done. I don't know if it's a scheme or it's people just knowing it's a run and being able to, predict where it's going to go. But man, 87 combined rushing yards, really, 38 coming on 2 plays. So 50 rushing yards on like 15 rushes. Terrible for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not saying that they're not going to be a Super Bowl contending team in the NFC, but they really need to figure out this rushing offense if they are going to find a way, because that's how the Eagles dominate games, is they get up in games and then they game manage on the run. And we've seen it 2 weeks in a row now. They went up 21-0 on the Cowboys just to not be able to run out the clock in the second half. And against the Bears came out and just dominated the run from the start. It is very, very disappointing what I'm seeing from the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley back there. I know they're dealing with some offensive line injuries, but man, I can't believe it. 24-15 with a Monangai and Swift game over the Eagles. Did not see that coming at all. Shout out to Ben Johnson for being literally one of the best coaches in all of the National Football League this season. The worst game of the week. I got to talk about it. Pittsburgh Steelers went into this half 7-3. The card pack, unfortunately, I cannot use that credit on personals. It would have to be a group break spot only. I apologize for saying that, but yes, it would have to be group break spots only. Personals have to be sold at full price. But 23 points unanswered for the Bills in the second half. It really hurt me. Aaron Rodgers went down with that tough play to start this. I believe it was right at the beginning of that third quarter. Aaron Rodgers gets hit by Joey Bosa, fumble, gets picked up by, who was it? Christian Benford, and runs right into the end zone. Steelers could not get a run game going at all in this game. Only 58 rushing yards for the Steelers compared to 250 rushing yards for James Cook. 32 carries for James Cook. You've probably heard every single person, if you follow anyone that follows Steelers media on social media. If you've seen any Steelers post, it's probably been about this. The Buffalo Bills ran the exact same outside right run towards TJ Watt over 15 times in this game. The exact same counter misdirect run. And we got cooked every single time from it. Every single time. 144 yards on the ground for James Cook. I know he didn't get into the end zone, but I was so disappointed from what I saw from our front seven. We got dominated. I thought when I was going into this game, I was very expecting the Steelers' defensive line to dominate because both of the tackles, the left and right tackle, were injured for the Buffalo Bills. And that right tackle for the Buffalo Bills absolutely dominated TJ Watt. If I go down, TJ Watt had 4 total tackles, no solo, no sacks, no TFLs, no pass deflections, no QB hits. He was taken out of the game by half the time by this guy right here, Jackson Hawes. Backup tight end of the Buffalo Bills absolutely dominated TJ Watt in the run blocking game. Sad to see stuff like that. I was so sure going into the second half that we were going to have this game. It felt like one of those Steelers grit and grind games that we pull out at the end due to coaching. But man, Rodgers gets hurt. His nose starts bleeding, so Mason Rudolph comes in. Doesn't complete a pass and throws an interception into triple coverage, giving the Bills the ball right back in the third quarter. We can't throw the ball to DK Metcalf because they're putting a safety and a cornerback on him all the time, and he's also becoming the same problems we had with George Pickens last year. The whole reason we got rid of George Pickens was because of this, 15-yard penalties, mental flaws. We're starting to see the same thing from DK now, and I'm getting frustrated because this is the same problems with just different names. And it's like, when is this change going to be made in the coaching staff? Why is Terrell Austin still our defensive coordinator when we have an $165 million defense that can't stop the same play 15 times? When is Arthur Smith on 4th and 2 going to realize, hey, let's not run the football? 4th and 2, we are all the way down there. We have our first good drive of the second half. 4th and 2 comes, we run a hurry-up halfback draw play to Kenneth Gainwell when our running offense isn't working all day. I was so disappointed in the Pittsburgh Steelers in the second half of this game. It was probably the worst half of football I've seen the Pittsburgh Steelers play in specifically an entire half. Zach Frazier, couldn't get the snap off. There's miscommunication between Aaron Rodgers and Jonnu Smith. He tries to tell Jonnu Smith to do an inside post. He does an outside post. It would have been a touchdown if he did the inside post. We can't get Darnell Washington involved. We don't trade for a wide receiver 2 at the trade deadline, so thank God we're throwing the ball to Ben Skoranek, Roman Wilson, and Calvin Austin, right? Who combined for 0 catches and have no chemistry with Aaron Rodgers at all. Pat Freiermuth doesn't have a catch in this game after I've been saying, why is Pat Freiermuth not getting our slot wide receiver reps? I am so disappointed in this Pittsburgh Steelers team. We are 6-6. We play Baltimore. Thank God Baltimore is struggling and where they are, and that's kind of what the division's at. But I cannot blame the Cincinnati Bengals for looking at the Steelers, looking at the Ravens, and saying we can still win this division because both teams look horrible. I don't know. I don't have much more to say about this game. I'm so disappointed in the defense. I'm so disappointed in Aaron Rodgers in the offense. I cannot believe that we are going into week 14 of the NFL season with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith, these genius minds in football, and yet we're still having miscommunications on reads. We still don't know what plays we're running. We still can't run the football against a team with no one on their defensive line. We can't get pressure on their offensive line when they're injured. It's been disappointing. This was a really tough game. As for the Buffalo Bills, they just took advantage of what was working, and they didn't stop what was working. I know they only scored 3 points in the first half, but it was just because of a couple fumbles from James Cook, specifically the one. We kind of controlled the game in the first half, and the second we gave the ball back to them to start the third, game was over. Shout out to the Buffalo Bills for going to 8-4, but man, the Pittsburgh Steelers have some thoughts to make with Mike Tomlin in this offseason. The LA Chargers won this game at home. Are we surprised, guys? Are we surprised? Yes, I'm going to update that price for you right now. Buccaneers, that is the Bucky Irving spot. Funny enough, Bucky Irving spot right there. We'll talk about Bucky in a little bit. There you go, $20 on the Bucks, done for you. The Chargers winning a home game against the Raiders. Are we surprised to see the Raiders lose at this point, guys? Not only did Geno Smith fumble the ball, they're at the goal line, and he missed a step on a run play. What up, Eli? How you doing? I just talked about your Chicago Bears and how good the run offense is, so shout out, Eli, to your Chicago Bears for winning this week. But moving on to the Raiders-Chargers game, this Raiders offensive line sucks. The quarterback sucks. The coaching sucks. I don't know if I could say anything good about this Raiders team right now. The only positive is they actually have the greatest player in football. And I can really sit here right now and say I don't know if there is anyone that is better at catching a football in the NFL than Brock Bowers. That catch he made in the right side, it looked like Geno was throwing the ball away. It really did. It looked like Geno was trying to throw the ball into the dirt. And Brock Bowers' fingertip catches the ball in that right side of the end zone. Absolutely incredible stuff out of Brock Bowers. It makes me so sad to see Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers have to play for this team because everything else is bad. They can't run the ball. Geno can't move the ball forward. The defense is horrific. There's nothing good to say about this Raiders team right now. As for the Chargers, they game managed this game. Look at that. Herbert didn't even have to do anything. 2 touchdowns, 150 yards. Kamani Vidal, we know him to have one game good, one game bad. One game good, one game bad. And I'm looking at Kamani Vidal right here. 25 carries for 126 yards and a touchdown. Jared Patterson, 54 yards and a touchdown. 192 rushing yards to the Raiders, 31. Yeah, Chargers open this game up in the second half. Are we surprised? You shouldn't be. The Raiders have a lot wrong with them right now. I cannot believe how bad this season has gone for the Raiders. In Shedeur Sanders' first full week of training into a start of his NFL career, I didn't think he looked that bad. I was really impressed with the 49ers defense and what Robert Saleh did to really confuse him. Crazy to see how many fumbles this Cleveland Browns offense had. Gage, what is his name? I don't even know. On the kickoff, fumbled one. The Browns really just had a rough day overall. I was impressed with the run game. I do think that they should stick with Shedeur Sanders as their quarterback. I'd be surprised to see them go back to Dylan Gabriel, especially with the schedule of the Browns coming up, being the Titans, Bears, Bills, Steelers, and Bengals. I would just run with Shedeur for the rest of the year. See what you have, and if you don't like him, so be it. 49ers completely game managed this entire game. They didn't really have to do anything. They had under 100 rushing yards. They had under 170 passing yards, and they won this game by 18 points. Shout out to the defense. I was so impressed overall with the 49ers defense. Some of these looks Robert Saleh brings out. When he's got the players he wants, Robert Saleh is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. Brock Purdy game managed. Christian McCaffrey on the ground got a touchdown. George Kittle, a couple nice catches. Really nice touchdown for Jawan Jennings. Want to give him credit. That was a beautiful touchdown that he got. I loved the Harold Fannin touchdown. I called that if any of you guys watched last week. I did call a Harold Fannin touchdown. But overall, the 49ers just proved why they're the better team. Better coaching, better defense is going to win you a game. Jaguars, I don't have too much to say about this game. Jaguars went into Tennessee, dominated 25-3. They did it pretty early on. Big shout out to Jakobi Meyers. It's funny, we saw the Rashid Shaheed trade happen at the deadline. He really has not had any impact on that team. We saw a lot of receivers not get traded that could have impacts on other teams. Jakobi Meyers seems to be the best wide receiver trade of the deadline. 6 for 90 and a touchdown. Myers now has really just developed a good chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. We're looking at back-to-back games with a touchdown now on only 6 targets. He's being really efficient. He's doing really good route running. He's finding the openings in the middle. Very impressed with what I'm seeing from Jakobi Meyers. I'm interested to see how that wide receiver duo is when Brian Thomas Jr. really finds his footing. He only had 2 catches, 3 targets. I cannot believe after the rookie year we saw from BTJ, we're seeing the Jaguars take over the AFC South and BTJ not be like the guy we thought he was going to be this year. Very surprising stuff, but really, Tennessee Titans just can't get this ball moving. Their offensive line is so bad. This running game is horrific. They have the worst running offensive football, the Tennessee Titans. Tony Pollard, they're not finding their way into the red zone. They're barely even crossing midfield half the time, this Tennessee Titans team. 1-11, just go get the number 1 overall pick. The Texans, we talked about this a little bit earlier with Kane, but man, Texans, Colts 20-16 win. Sauce Gardner went down with an injury. Really, I was very impressed overall. I feel like this has been the story all year, but the Houston Texans defense, I thought they did a great job on Jonathan Taylor. We knew that Daniel Jones coming into this game was injured. Daniel Jones on those first 2 drives was really bad. Came back and had a really bounce back 2 drives that led to touchdowns. Alec Pierce, man, is a really good football player. Do not discredit Alec Pierce and his ability just because he's a small white guy almost, He is a really good wide receiver. But man, Jonathan Taylor, 21 carries, 85 yards, only averaging 4 yards per rush. You don't love to see that. If you're a Colts fan, you'd love to see him get a little bit more than 4 yards a rush. His longest run was 12. But what I was really impressed with was the 4th down calls for the Houston Texans. They kept giving the ball to Woody Marks on 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts. Nick Chubb got that really nice touchdown. Nico Collins, that rushing touchdown was a great play design. I was very impressed with Jaden Higgins. I thought as a wide receiver too, he's finally doing what we've been wanting him to do after they drafted him. I think second round. Finally, he's finding his footing on this team. But man, Houston, after what looked to be one of the most disappointing teams to start the year, is now on a 4-game win streak heading into Kansas City on, what is that, Sunday night, I think that game is. That'll be a good Sunday night game, Texans at Chiefs. But man, really impressed with the front line of the Houston Texans this game, especially in those 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situations. I thought Woody Marks did a good job putting his head down. Nick Chubb got a couple of good rushes. I'm still not super panicked if I'm the Colts. I know that this was a tough loss, but at the same time, they just couldn't get a run game going. This is one of the best defenses, if not a top 1, then top 3 defense in football right now, this Houston Texans. The only thing that sucks is the Colts are now not winning this division. Crazy to say the Colts are no longer winning the AFC South. And this upcoming week is a big one. They have to go to Jacksonville, then Seattle, then the Niners, then Jacksonville, then Houston. That is a really tough way to end the season. So you would have loved to see them, beat the Steelers. You got to see how they play against Jacksonville. This Colts-Jacksonville game are going to be who wins the division, in my opinion. So very excited to see how those games pan out. Saints-Dolphins, I did not get to catch too much of this game, I can't lie. I did get to see Chris Olave's touchdown, and shout out to my former Denver Bronco legend. I love this guy. If you guys are BDGE fans, you guys probably don't know what that is, but Devon Vele, 8 of 93 and a touchdown. Love me some Devon Vele. He is, 6'5", 210 with a great catch radius, great speed. Very impressed what I saw out of Devon Vele in this game. Would hope he gets more reps at that wide receiver position. But the Dolphins kind of just controlled this game, majority of it. Tua didn't even have to do much. It was mainly a Devon A-Chain running game. They kept just running through him. His touchdown run, that 29-yard touchdown run that A-Chain had, number 1 on the defense. What is your name? Alontae Taylor. Go back and watch the clip. What are you doing, Alontae Taylor? You could have stopped A-Chain so easily from getting in the end zone, and he just made a terrible angle read. But overall, Tyler Shuck looks fine. We know he's not the long-term solution for this Saints team. As for the Dolphins, I know they're 5-7. I don't like seeing the Dolphins win games because now I feel like they're going to stick with Tua and stick with McDaniel, and it's going to be the same exact problems next year. But man, 21-17 in the toilet bowl of the week. The Jets find a way. Shout out Nick Folk after missing his first field goal of the year. I believe, it was his first missed field goal of the entire season. I really thought that was going to be what killed them. But man, Adonai Mitchell. He is, he's like a Garrett Wilson prototype. I can't lie. He almost looks like Garrett Wilson out there. Good route runner. He had that great touchdown catch. And I will say, if the defender doesn't fall down, we might be talking about this game a little bit differently. As for Atlanta, it's been the same coaching problems every week. They find good success in the run game early on, and then they can't get a rhythm going, and then they can't close out games because they punt the ball, they give the ball back to the team. They can't, ever close out games as Atlanta Falcons team when you have Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. I know they didn't have Drake London this game, but Pitts finally had a good game. I cannot believe we're talking about a game with no Drake London, Kirk Cousins as the quarterback, and Darnell Mooney is the top wide receiver on this team. Got to get the receivers going if you're Atlanta. It's a coaching thing, man. I really hate what Atlanta's done with this coaching. They are now down to the 8th pick in the draft right now, and that pick goes to the Rams. Crazy. But shout out to the Jets for winning this one. They got a chance at the end. They drove the ball down the field, and they won the game. Aaron Glenn completely outcoached Raheem Morris in this game. Breece Hall looked good on the run. He had that nice rushing touchdown. Tyrod Taylor had a nice rushing touchdown. Not as many turnovers, but look at that. A fumble loss for the Atlanta Falcons. That right there is huge because the Jets have not been able to commit turnovers all year long. And shout out to Arizona for making this into a pretty good game. I was very impressed with a couple of guys in this game. One, Jacoby Brissett to Marvin Harrison. After missing a couple of games, Marvin Harrison picked right back up, made a couple really nice contested catches. Bam Knight had that really nice touchdown in the end zone, receiving touchdown. But at the end of the day, Tampa Bay's running game was the main reason I think that they won this one. Bucky Irving, 17 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown. They got Bucky right back involved with this rushing offense. Should have had 2 touchdowns. He had the one called back. But yeah, Bucky Irving right back to his RB1 role in the game. They kept him in, and they said, you're our guy. Chris Godwin, 3 catches, 78 yards. He had a couple big plays. They kept leaving that slot open, and he just vertical ran after catching like a 10-yard in route. Ekbuka, I'd love to see Ekbuka get more involved. Specifically downfield is really where Ekbuka was, finding his rhythm earlier in the year. The Buccaneers, though, have a really, really good end of the season schedule, in my opinion. Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers. Now, they are only technically half a game up on the Carolina Panthers. We will talk about that game next. But yeah, Trey McBride still proving why he's the best tight end in football right now. At least statistically, 8 for 82 and a touchdown. Cardinals could not really get a lot going. I know Bam Knight had that fumble, but the Bucs found their way to win the game at the end. Shout out to Bucky for getting the touchdown. Godwin for having his biggest game of the season so far. Game of the week. Game of the week. The Carolina Panthers LA Rams game. Stafford went right down the field on that first drive and threw a 4-yard touchdown to Devontae Adams. And that's when I was like, man, this game might just be over. And then Matthew Stafford threw 2 interceptions in the first quarter of this game. He has thrown now 4 interceptions on the season. He's thrown 2 interceptions all season before that and then threw 2 picks shout out to this Carolina defense, man. They keep making plays. I'm looking at the two guys that got a interception. Shout out Mike Jackson, Nick Scott. Both of them had great interceptions on the day. Jalen Coker came back. We haven't seen Jalen Coker have a big role yet on this Carolina Panthers team, but he had that great touchdown. 4th and 2, they decide to go for it. They throw it across the middle to Ted McMillan, who gets into the end zone on that 43-yard touchdown. The running game was solid for both teams. I was very impressed with what I saw from Blake Corum of the LA Rams. Kyron Williams went down with an injury. I don't think it was too serious or anything like that, but Kyron, you know, they both got in the end zone, Corum and Kyron. This is one of those games you just expect the Rams to win, but the Panthers at the end really just found a way. Chuba Hubbard had that great 35-yard receiving touchdown. You love to see Chuba. 17 rushes for 83 yards. Rico Dowdle, 18 rushes, 53 yards. Bryce Young, no big mistakes, 15 of 20, 206, 3 touchdowns. The Carolina Panthers completely played their game all day. Bryce Young played very confident in the pocket. He kept moving around very well. Now I gotta say, Puka Nacua may have had one of the best catches of the season in this game. That one-handed snag that hit him in his hand like this, and then he grabbed it down. Oh my God, what an incredible catch by Puka. Devontae Adams still proving why he's the best red zone target in all football. But at the end of the day, the turnovers from Stafford, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble loss, absolutely killed the Rams in the long run, and the Panthers took advantage. The defense stepped up when they needed to, and they won the game 31-28. This now brings the Rams at 9-3 on the year. The Carolina Panthers 7-6, only 1 loss more than the Bucs, and they got to see the Bucs twice. So, just like I've been talking Steelers versus Ravens, who's going to win the division depending on the 2 division games? Same thing, Carolina and Tampa Bay right now. I'm very, very excited to see how that one pans out. Worst game of the week came from Max Brosmer, rookie starting quarterback out of Minnesota who got his first start against the Seattle Seahawks. Man, 4 interceptions thrown. It all started with that terrible 4th and goal flick that turned into a pick 6. And from that point forward, it was just bad. Sam Darnold didn't even have to do anything in this game because the Seattle defense just absolutely dominated with the 4 interceptions. They kept getting in field goal range. Shout out to Jason Myers for going 4 for 4 on the day, even a 56-yarder he hit. The defense, though, man, Drake Thomas, half a sack. Byron Murphy with a sack. DeMarcus Lawrence with a sack. Leonard Williams with a sack. Nwosu with a sack. I mean, this Vikings team, after last year, they won 14 games. They only have 4 wins on the year. The quarterback play has by far been the biggest thing that's been missing for this Vikings team. Justin Jefferson, 2 catches for 4 yards on the day. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. Now I will say, I thought to start the game, it could have started differently. Jordan Addison had a very easy drop. Justin Jefferson had a very easy drop to start the game. Now I will say, it's probably a different kind of throwing motion that they've been used to because now they've had to deal with J.J. McCarthy for half the year, who throws the ball to the defense every other time, and now Max Brosmer, who threw the ball to the defense 4 separate times this game. If you guys didn't believe in Seattle, in that game against the Rams, Seattle is a really good team. They are 9-3, 26-0. That defense is incredible. Mike McDaniel, when they go against an offense like this, man, Seattle just absolutely dominated. Aaron Jones, I would like to see the run game get more involved with the Vikings, but if you're going to turn the ball over like that, I don't know. Vikings got a lot of problems in that quarterback room. They really thought that JJ would be the answer here. They let Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones walk, and Sam Darnold shut out his former team 26-0. What a great night game. What a great night game. You could say that this was the game of the night, or the game of the day. The Denver Broncos barely squeak out a win against the Washington Commanders. Very, very much a lot of credit to the Washington Commanders. They never gave up. They went down early on in this game, and then they fought all the way back to tie the game to go into overtime. Terry McLaurin with that great touchdown at the end of the game. Love seeing a guy like Scary Terry back in the rotation. 7 for 96 and a touchdown. This is what we've been waiting on. Zach Ertz, they kept going for it on 4th down. You know who the ball is going to on 3rd and 4th down. It's Zach Ertz. 10 for 106. Dude got every target over the middle. Deebo Samuel had a couple good touches. He did not, unfortunately, get in the end zone with that running play. They tried to do the Cleveland Browns like wildcat formation on a couple of those touchdown runs. Did not work out for them. But man, they had a chance at the end there. Denver in overtime came right down, drove down the field, had that great touchdown run with RJ Harvey. I thought Denver was just going to end up winning this game completely. By the way, shout out to Cortland Sutton for that touchdown at the end of the half. That was big for my fantasy team. But I thought Denver was really just going to win this game like handedly, and Washington really fought all the way until the end. Washington had the player open. They decided to go for two after scoring the touchdown, and Marcus Mariota had him, but the defensive end jumped up, swatted the pass, and unfortunately, the Denver Broncos go to 10-2 on the year, where Washington now falls to 3-9 after their miraculous NFC Championship run they had last year. Now, obviously, Jaden Daniels hoping he comes back from injury soon. Mariota didn't play bad. They forced him to throw the ball 50 times in this game, which is always funny, but man, he had that game at the end. Mariota had his guy open at the end. But the biggest thing I gotta say is shout out to Treylon Burks. Catch of the year. That red zone catch of the year by Treylon Burks. The guy that, technically the Titans traded A.J. Brown basically straight up for. Never panned out in Tennessee. Now, he did have a couple of targets that he dropped, a couple weird passes, a couple weird swats, but man, that touchdown catch was a thing of beauty for Treylon Burks. And I know it's going to say Evan Ingram had a good game, 6 for 71. A couple bad drops in this game for Evan Ingram. A couple bad drops in this game for Pat Bryant. A couple bad drops in this game for that guy Tyler Beatty as the backup running back. But man, the same, devil magic that helped the Chiefs get to that record last year. If you remember, they kept winning all those one-possession games. Feels like that's what we're seeing with Denver, too. They go 8 straight wins after being 1-2. Sorry, 9 straight wins after being 1-2. Broncos sitting at 10-2, first in the AFC West, second in the AFC, only behind the New England Patriots. And last night's night game, pretty boring game overall. The New England Patriots absolutely dominated from the start. They had the kickoff return. Now, I will say, from the first quarter, right before that kickoff, I had a whole conversation with my roommate. You can just see the difference in how prepared and ready the players are for these two teams. The Giants look like amateurs. They play like amateurs. They look like amateurs. They don't look like they get rhythm. The defense doesn't have a lot of success. It's coaching. You can just see the expectation of this New England Patriots team. There's a reason they're 11-2. Everyone knows their role. Everyone thrives in their role. Everyone believes in each other. Drake May didn't even have to do anything. I was sad because I needed Drake May to have like a legendary game in fantasy this week for me to win. And unfortunately, they had 6 chances to score in the first half, and a bunch of them kept ending up in field goals. New England does struggle a bit in the red zone. That is the one thing I'll say come playoff time is be on the lookout if they play a Bills or they play a Broncos or something. The Patriots do really tend to struggle in the red zone specifically, especially because they can't get a run game going down there with no Will Campbell, obviously, because he's been out with injury. But man, Hunter Henry had a couple nice catches. Kayshon Boutte's touchdown was a perfect thrown pass by Drake May. They just, they got that 30-7 lead in the first half and just never looked back. Gunnar Olszewski with the fumble loss. I cannot believe that they did not call that fumble eject, whatever his name was. I think it was number like 54 or something, or 44. Whoever hit Gunner should have been, in my opinion, thrown out of the game. That helmet to helmet was bad. The N was literally popped off of his helmet on the side for the NY logo. But man, tough loss for the Giants, but I guess you want a better draft pick if you're a Giants fan at this point. They're 2-11. They have not won a road game. The Patriots are the exact opposite, 11-2. Haven't lost a road game this year. I was impressed with the running game for the Patriots. I was impressed with Drake May. They got in control of this game fast due to coaching. They had the nice punt return touchdown, and from there they just game managed and won this game 33-15. And that is going to do it for my Week 13 NFL recap.